So, our next speaker brings a sustainability-driven perspective to the business transformation process. And she will share key insights from WWF's work with companies highlighting how circular strategies can make business future-proof while also addressing global challenges such as climate change, biodiversity loss, and resource scarcity. Please welcome the team lead circular economy at WWF Germany, Rebecca Tauer. Enjoy.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. You might wonder what an environmental NGO has to say about circular economy. And I briefly would like to cover this. Many will know WWF for their wildlife protection, nature work, maybe climate protection projects, but we have a strong motivation for driving the circular economy in a holistic way. Because as we know, resource extraction and production are key drivers for climate change and biodiversity loss. 50% of greenhouse gas emissions go back to resource extraction and production, and 90% of biodiversity loss and water stress are caused by this. And of course, our resource consumption is way too high. We know globally our footprint is as large as 1.6 Earths can regenerate every year. And if everyone consumed what Germany consumes, we would need 3 Earths. So our high resource consumption is the issue that we come from, and I have the same issue as everyone. Okay, we have a slight delay. And this high resource consumption is causing the triple planetary crisis as we know it: climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. And this is why we as WWF have a strong vision to drive a circular economy which replaces our linear way of producing, of consuming and thinking, and really creates an economy where the economy and businesses and society can prosper within planetary boundaries. With our Model Germany, a comprehensive study that we published last year, we showed that this potential for climate protection, for biodiversity protection, is possible if we really drive a circular economy in a very holistic way. We showed in the study that, for example, climate change mitigation, we can save an additional 26% by 2045 if we drive circular economy in key sectors here in Germany that you see there on the screen. We looked at 9 sectors and really showed across all dimensions, resource consumption, land use change, that sustainability will really make a huge leap forward if we implement a holistic circular economy. And of course, let's not forget the economic dimension that we have so seen as a narrative to have been developed over the last 2 years and the focus been driven upon. I have the same clicking issue here. I continue with the critical raw materials that we see. Of course, we know for the electrification, for renewables, that we need lots of critical materials. The demand is huge. We will see a huge impact on nature. But if we really look at not just driving recycling and circular economy, but reuse and avoidance strategies, that we can reduce the demand for some critical materials by a huge amount, and we can really make a difference to circular economy. Our work at WWF is quite broad. We work with business, we drive forward policies for circular economy that's really ambitious. For example, we publish tools, online courses, circular business game with partners, talking about collaboration. That was with Akatech. We work with businesses like Jockey to implement reuse systems, and we work in the Global South on extended producer responsibility projects and implementation. Our policy work spans across Germany, Europe, and international. We work on the international agreement for against plastic waste and pollution. We were very involved in the national circular economy strategy work that we heard Steffi Lemke talk about earlier. And our engagement with society, of course, is to drive behavior and get people to understand what circular economy is about, to adopt their behavior that we need to drive reuse and really change the way we live. And all of this is only possible if we collaborate. We're involved in many different organizations. We work with interesting partners. Many of you are here. I've already seen a few. Look forward to the exchange. But today I really would like to focus on challenging a few thoughts on how you develop circular economy and how businesses currently drive this forward. So coming to the title of my talk, transformation of business models is future-proofing. Yes, we all know the benefits. I'm sure you're only here because you see the benefits of circular economy, like improved resource efficiency, new business models. We're also even gaining top talent and, of course, addressing sustainability issues. But in my perspective, we still have a very long way to go to really achieving these benefits and getting the most out of them. 3 statements. Firstly, I believe that materiality and impact still has a long way to go when companies select their strategies. Second, we see many pilots, but scaling is usually not considered from the very beginning. And thirdly, we need a very holistic implementation of circular economy across businesses, inside businesses, and this, from my perspective, is still lacking. So with this in mind, we can see that many companies have started their journey. See many big brands up there that have set targets across different dimensions in the value chain. But we also see that there's very few impact-oriented goals. We see they want to generate revenue, but we don't know what's the impact on the environmental dimension. We also see a very clear preference still for lower R strategies for recycling and waste management. And if we look at how these strategies are developed, we also saw that there's no real clear process for developing the strategy really in a structured way throughout the company. So last year, what we did together with UN Global Compact Network, we set out to develop a strategy guide to really talk about these 3 topics and give a step-by-step guideline on how companies can develop strategies that are impact-oriented and really holistic across the business. And I'd like to give you 3 little insights out of this strategy guide. The first point is, when you develop your strategies, really base the strategy on a solid analysis. We see a lot of times that it's very opportunistic what companies are starting to do, or what seems, fancy, what consumers might think of first, but is it really what's material? Look at the status quo, do a solid analysis. Of course, with CSRD, we have a good basis now, although being rolled back doesn't help. But start there and identify your priority areas of action based on that. Second, think scaling from the very beginning. Scaling inside the company means you really involve all areas in developing your circular economy strategy. Don't leave it in the sustainability department. Involve procurement, product management, innovation, your production. Think about this inside scaling and external scaling. Many solutions we see will never become successful in the long term because they did not think about whether there's enough partners, whether the infrastructure exists. So think about your circular ecosystem that you need to make your solutions successful and build them up when you already develop the strategy. And third, from my perspective, the most important, develop impact-oriented objections. You see this framework, many of you might know, input, output, outcome, impact, and there's targets that we see set at every level. So, for example, at the input level, we see we want to have all of our products designed in a circular way. Or output, so many packaging is reduced by 20%. But what's the actual outcome we want to achieve? And what's the impact? How much greenhouse gases do we want to save? How much material reduction do we want to achieve? And what impact on climate and biodiversity should these strategies that you think about have an effect on? And this is really what I ask every business to think about. Don't just set targets that sound good. Think them through to the end. You can set targets at every level, but think it one step further. Because only then circular economy really has the potential to become future-proofing of your business. Because to us, circular economy is only means to an end. We really hope that companies implement circular strategies that are innovative and economically viable in the long term, but especially impactful for climate and nature. I look forward to the discussions today. Happy for you to challenge these theses. If anyone wants to grab a copy of the strategy guideline, we have a couple of German copies. My colleague Judith has them there, and I see Daniel from UN Global Compact Network, so speak to him as well. More about our work online, and thank you very much.